What the f is up, y'all? Welcome back to Blamwagon. Thanks for tuning into this vinyl collection update video. If you haven't seen the original, check it out here. This is gonna be a little bit of a shorter video. I apologize in advance. I was sick earlier in the month, and so that kind of threw the vibe off. But I've got 8 brand new vinyls here. I'm gonna show them off. As always, if you like what you're seeing, give me a like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. First up, we've got Dead Channel Sky by Clipping. I'm a big Clipping fan. I loved There Existed an Addiction to Blood, as well as Visions of Bodies Being Burned from 2020. I think that Daveed Diggs is a stellar vocalist, but also just like has a killer pen game. He's a great lyricist, but also just a fantastic storyteller. So I was really excited to hear that Dead Channel Sky was dropping. It's a record that I felt like I just had to own. I know that some people are a little bit iffy on this record in comparison to some of their older work. I don't really understand the wishy-washiness. I do love this record quite a bit. This is the loser edition, meaning there's no interludes on the track list, which I don't personally mind. I thought that the interludes were actually the weakest aspect of the project. We're rocking with a cool, kind of spotty, painted green kind of look for the vinyl itself. This thing did come with a poster, which I actually already threw up on one of my walls in my office space. But I am really loving the pink touches of color throughout this record. I think that it makes the package really pop in general. And yeah, while this isn't a record that I feel like I'm gonna throw on very often, it's still something that I thought was fun to have, and I would love to support the group. So yeah, great record. Which brings us to De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising. I've had my eye on this record since 2022, 2023. I saw it at Amoeba and I didn't pick it up, which I had regretted ever since. Finally decided to just bite the bullet and grab this thing. It is a beast of a record. It is thick. It comes with a tiny little double-sided paper with some graphics and some production credits. But what I really love about this record in particular is that it's got this really clean, hot pink vinyl pressing. This is one of the grooviest hip-hop records to come out of the late 80s, and it's just a vibe. I Know and The Magic Number are fantastic tracks to spin on the turntable. It sounds great. And yeah, I'm glad I finally grabbed this thing. My dad loves this record too, so it just felt like something that I had to own. So that's that. Next, I've got Preacher's Daughter by Ethel Cain. This is another one that I had been waiting for a very, very long time. This is one of my favorite records to come out of 2022. And for the longest time, it seemed like this was not going to get a pressing. This is actually a very, very recent release. She only pressed this record like a couple of months ago. Pre-ordered it as fast as I could. This is a record that I wanted to own on vinyl for a long time. The reverby and almost amateurish nature of the record and how deep and dense the sonic palette is, it felt like something that felt only natural to listen to on a turntable. Nothing crazy. It does come with a little missing poster. If you understand, or if you've listened to the record, you'd understand the context behind that. It's all within the lore that this record presents. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty fire. It's there's not much that I have to say about this thing. It's slowly become one of my favorite records of all time to come out of the modern era. And yeah, if you haven't given this record a listen, what are you doing? Give it a shot. Cool stuff. That brings us to Black Country New Roads, Forever Howlong. A very new release. This released last month, I believe. Black Country New Road it is one of my favorite bands of the modern era. Ants from Up There is one of my favorite records of all time. It's a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. So there was a lot riding on Forever Howlong, especially given that Isaac, the lead vocalist, had left the band after the release of Ants from Up There. So Forever Howlong does feature 3 new vocalists who honestly are giving their all. It's a very different vibe in comparison to their older work, but it is just as nuanced, just as ripe and overflowing with talent. I believe this is actually either an indie store exclusive or just a limited edition variant because it is blue. So that's cool. We've got a little lyric book. I've actually yet to properly go through this thing, but there's a lot of really cool band pictures and some loose leaf paper band notes. The record itself is a beautiful blue. I'm really rocking with this particular shade. This is not something that is going to show up on camera, obviously, but it's got a very satisfying texture. I'm not sure what they made this out of, but it does feel like it's a nice textured cardstock. And yeah, while I don't think that this particularly holds a candle to their earlier work, it's kind of an entirely different beast that you really can't compare. And tracks like Two Horses and For the Cold Country and Nancy Tries to Take the Night sound absolutely fantastic on vinyl. Glad I grabbed this one, especially because I do really like the blue. It's very unique, so great stuff. Next, I've got Viagra Boys' self-titled record. This is shaping up to be one of my favorites of the year. Felt like I had to grab this guy. I just love how weird this record is. It reminds me a lot of what I love about LCD Soundsystem and just how carefree and messy, like strategically messy, they come across. Track list on the back, which is aligned to different drawings, which I think is really unique and pretty clever. Nothing too crazy on the vinyl sleeve, just a couple of producer credits and some unique graphic design. Also just a simple black vinyl. You know, it's nothing insanely mind-blowing, but this is a record that I just felt like I had to own. It is so silly and so carefree, while also simultaneously being incredibly deep and nuanced in its lyricism. I would absolutely love to get Cave World on vinyl. I think next time I'm over at the shop, I might pick that one up. We'll see. But yeah, this is just such a fun record, and one that I felt like I just had to grab to support the band. So there's that. Next, we've got GNX by Kendrick Lamar. One of my favorite records to come out of last year. Obviously, there's not much to say here. Kendrick is the GOAT, probably the greatest hip-hop artist working today. I've been looking for this guy for quite some time now. I own To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid, Mad City on vinyl. I don't have Damn or Mr. Morale yet, but this is... It felt like a culturally relevant thing to own. It's also got a blue pressing, which I think is very cool. It's unique. I feel like it complements the gray aesthetic of the album art quite nicely. Just feels very clean and classic, which I think is pretty cool. I think that it complements the sound of the record very well. And yeah, I don't have much to say about this record in particular. It just had to be a cop. Especially because I had been looking for it for so long, and I do love the blue. That brings us to The Scholars by Car Seat Headrest. This is a record that I'm going to talk about in more great length in the upcoming monthly recap video. But because you're here, I'll let you in on a little secret. I did enjoy it. Not as much as some of their older work. Car Seat Headrest is one of my favorite bands of all time. And The Scholars in particular is a little less accessible and a little bit messier and convoluted than some of their other stuff. It leans very hard into the lore surrounding the project, which if you've been following me and this channel for quite some time now, you know that I don't really love that stuff. But because of that, I felt like this was a record that I had to own, particularly because of the, where's it at? Lyric book that essentially acts as like the stage play for the record. If you were to just listen to this record without any context, it'd be pretty hard to follow, but with this lyric book, it tells you which characters are speaking when and what they're up to and what each song is supposed to represent in the overarching story. If it sounds convoluted, it's because it is. That's a knock that I have against the record, but from a technical standpoint, from a sonic standpoint, I do think that this is a feat. I think it's a beautiful and stunning record. There's art everywhere in this thing. Truthfully, I actually haven't gotten much of a chance to really dive into the story behind this. I'm still working on it, and because of that, I don't particularly have a rating set in stone yet. But hopefully buying this thing on vinyl will clear up any questions that I have regarding the record. But yeah, this thing is an absolute beast. It is a thick record. If you're a fan of Crusty Headrest, though, check it out. You won't be disappointed. And last but not least, that brings us to Siamese Dream by the Smashing Pumpkins. Another record that I have been looking for quite some time. Every time I'm at the shop, I see the deluxe edition, which is the same cover, but it's got this purple and red tint to it. I don't love that. Personally, I've been looking for the original cover. Finally found it, had to grab it. One of the greatest indie rock records of all time. I think Mayonnaise is one of the greatest songs of all time, so owning that on vinyl feels right. And it's got a translucent, spotty red pressing, which I think is very cool and very fitting for the sound of the record. I'm very glad that I was able to find this guy. It's one of the greatest albums of all time. It's fire, and it's a welcome addition to the collection. And that's it. That's every album that I bought since my last vinyl update. Short but sweet. Wanted to give you something before my next monthly recap video. Thank you for your patience. I'm feeling better. We're back on the grind. I'm ready to keep pumping out content for you guys. As always, I appreciate the support. It means the world to me. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. I make monthly recaps. I do tier lists. I do brackets, all things music. Got some fun stuff in the pipeline. As always, just stay tuned for more stuff. I always take song recs, I always take music recs, I always take artist recs. If you got something that you'd like me to listen to, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. That's all I got. Sleep tight, don't let the bedbugs bite. Signing off.